We are live here tonight with Renters Radio Boston. New name, same faces. Twitter. That I did want to talk about. It was like AOC and Elizabeth Warren and Taylor Swift squatting up against private equity firms like the Carlyle Group. Don't laugh.
No. All right.
They're not wrong.
Because of the amount of work that you did, can I do my quick eye roll, but then explain why, and then you can make me look bad by actually going into why this is an important issue?
Okay, sure.
So originally, I couldn't help but eye roll because just the linking in like the press of AOC likes a tweet from Taylor Swift, it makes me think, is this actually like the most important thing that's going on? Like, should AOC really be focusing on this? That's my eye roll. The next 2 seconds of me think, Taylor Swift probably has like, what, 40, 50 million Twitter followers.
Yes.
There's all these people who are just non-political, who all they do is T-Swift and, I don't know, buy their bags. I don't know what.
Also, like, blow up Twitter and dox the Carlyle Group
to make
sure.
AOC, and she does this awesome. Like, she bridges those two worlds between like the pop, non-political, but it's now cool to be political. So I support it. But now that you've done your deep dive, actually made me wish I read more of the article and just didn't read the headline.
Okay. So let's go there. I guess we'll go straight into it. I haven't finished this beer yet, but I'm ready. Let's roll it up. So anyway, as a lot of you may have seen on Twitter and on the internet and in the news this weekend, actually, it seems like she got what she wanted. Just spoiler alert. It looks like she's going to be allowed to like play her old songs at the like American Music Awards. So they caved because the Swift following is that strong.
Okay. Now, you might get into this, but wasn't this already a thing that she was going to get the rights back to her originals, or she was going to like
buy them back? She has to re-record them,
yeah.
Which seems like a lot of work for somebody who already did all the work making the music.
It is, but then it's another excuse to get people to buy like the new recording.
Yes, you can look at this in an extremely cynical way and be like, well, Taylor Swift is just trying to get publicity and money, and I can respect that, but she did call out one of the worst private equity firms in the world. And got AOC and Elizabeth Warren to like bring attention to it. So, you know, the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
That's true. And I love T Swift, for the record.
Yeah, we both love Taylor Swift. So she wrote a Tumblr post, I think on Friday, and she was really frustrated about the sale of her back catalog to this private equity firm, Carlyle Group. It was actually because they bought like her old record label, and she wasn't able to play her older songs on TV, and they were basically being held hostage by her former managers. And she tweeted this whole thing of actually asking the Carlyle Group for help on this and asking her fans to sort of blow them up and try to get them to help. So what really set me off about this tweet was the fact that she was calling out this Carlyle Group. And that name should ring a bell to any old activists out there, any old researchers, anyone who's been following the military-industrial complex as long as I have. And there's a lot of people out there who have. I'll get into that.
This is when I feel bad because I did nothing in my 20s. All I did was like drink and shoot pool. So whenever you mention stuff like this that happened in like the Iraq War, I was in JROTC in high school while you were protesting the Iraq War. How's that? And now I'm your co-host. Huh? Who saw that one coming?
Well, I'm glad you switched sides. Let's put it that way.
That's true. But you have to explain who these people are.
Oh yeah, I will. So let's go. So in comes AOC. This is where I saw the headline. She was tweeting to sort of support Taylor Swift, and she was backing her, calling out the larger issue of private equity firms in general, saying private equity groups' predatory practices actively hurt millions of Americans. Their leveraged buyouts have destroyed the lives of retail workers across the country, scrapping over a million jobs. Now they're holding Swift's own music hostage. They need to be reined in. Doesn't stop at music. For people with friends or family who worked in retail or suddenly laid off or hours deeply cut, like Toys R Us, Sears, Sport Authority, sometimes stripped of severance, and a million jobs destroyed. So in this case, I think she's referring to Bain Capital, not the Carlyle Group, because the Carlyle Group is even more evil.
So Bain Capital, which I'm pretty sure is located in Boston, which I'm pretty sure Deval Patrick, contender, either he definitely worked for them either up until recently or in the past.
Until he launched his like campaign, basically, because that site, he always had a profile on their webpage as somebody who worked for them, and that recently had a 403 error. Ever since he announced his candidacy for president.
Oh, look at that.
We can go into that some other time.
And very quickly, some 101 out there, private equity firms. If somebody Googles this and corrects me, please do. We're going to encourage that. We're going to encourage this as a space for learning. But very simply, a private equity firm is really when a bunch of people get together with their own private assets and say, oh, hey, if we just all pool our money together, we can go buy Toys R Us, strip it for as much money as we can, and then just bankrupt it.
Yeah, and start helping them make the most money they can selling it out. But this isn't even the most evil situation. That's like just standard capitalism right there. When it comes to the Carlyle Group, I'm talking about a history of war profiteering. So, I mean, for people like me who have been into researching this a long time, shout out to my years helping Barrett Brown and sort of being involved with the Project PM and anonymous groups that would do this sort of research on a lot of leaks. This is like basically a group that always was one of the sort of head companies that owned the subsidiaries that we were looking into the whole time. So actually, one of the first places a lot of people would have heard about the Carlyle Group is Michael Moore's documentary Fahrenheit 9/11. That was one of the first times I heard about them and the shenanigans they got into during the lead up to the big war on terror post 9/11 era. The Carlyle Group hired George W. Bush Sr., George H.W. Bush, on their advisory board while his son was president, and while they had investments in so many military companies that were making weapons of war, which
Wow.
seems like quite a conflict of interest.
So I thought the Bidens were the first time that a family member got hooked up with a gang because of their name. No? I missed that one.
Yeah, you missed that one. That's old news.
Also, shout out Chelsea Clinton. I was joking. I know the history of all this.
So, basically, while they had, a president, a son of their advisor running around making war everywhere, dropping bombs, building weapons. They were making a huge windfall on all the companies they invested in. Let's fast forward past, the early 2000s to the like later 2000s, maybe 2008, 2009, when the Carlyle Group made a $910 million investment to buy a majority stake in Booz Allen Hamilton, which was a government consulting business, it went on to make $2 billion off as its shareholders. And this is one of the most well-known and profitable investments that they have a history with, because at this time, the endless war was still ramping up. Even though this was the Obama era, the surveillance technology was really blowing up, and they were basically owning their subsidiaries were part of all of the companies involved in this. So one of the things which coincidentally was named Swift, since we're getting into Taylor Swift,
there we go.
was
bringing it all
one of
around,
the
full circle.
controversies, which the ACLU investigated in like 2000, I might be getting the year wrong, 2010, 2013, was another conflict of interest involved when the NSA was intercepting and retaining data from the SWIFT network, which is a financial transaction network all over the world, used by thousands of banks to send information. And, we're getting a comment. How's the mic sound? Okay, I'll stay closer to it. So basically a bunch of documents were leaked by our boy Edward Snowden, who worked at Booz Allen Hamilton during that time period. Shout out to Snowden. And they revealed that, the NSA had spied on SWIFT using a variety of methods, including the printer traffic from numerous banks. And ACLU called out Booz Allen Hamilton for being complicit in the unlawful surveillance of the SWIFT network. And this was another conflict of interest, given that they were actually supposed to be auditing the lawful and constitutional use of that sort of surveillance technology. And this is just one sort of like tentacle in the web of surveillance technology. And I have a lot of friends who could probably update us on what people are doing further, but this is sort of one of the big things we were looking into at the time. And at the time, the Carlyle Group was a 2/3 majority shareholder of Booz Allen Hamilton. They also more recently invested in groups like Wesco Aircraft Holdings, which provides integrating supply chain solutions to BAE Systems to support the Eurofighter Typhoon, currently seeing action as part of the Royal Saudi Air Force, used by the Saudis to bomb Yemen. How do you feel about the Saudis?
This is a very anti-Saudi show. That's going to be a tough words for me to pronounce in my accent.
Yeah.
But no, boo the Saudi Empire.
Yeah, so basically, it sounds like they are still making money off war profiteering, though we'll get into, they've actually divested into entertainment and fashion more recently.
And this is the part that threw me, because again, Lauren is getting all this from a headline of AOC supports Taylor Swift that I rolled my eyes at.
No, I saw the Carlyle Group and I'm like, oh, those guys again? What a bunch of jerks.
And now why do you think they're diversifying into entertainment and Taylor Swift songs?
Because they are actually a company based on making the most profit in the short term.
Oh, so just basic capitalism.
Yes, it's basic capitalism. The thing is they have no scruples. And they are known for, at the time, Booz Allen Hamilton was one of their major investments. That company was known for being part of the revolving door of the military industrial complex, hiring former security chief of staff James Clapper. I might be getting the title wrong, but there was a lot of people moving in and out of government, high level government positions, into these private companies that were basically contractors, making a lot of money off our taxes, in fact, because these contracts were awarded by the U.S. government. So, when we talk about how we can't afford things like healthcare, let's talk about what we are actually paying for and whether this is actually keeping us safer. But that's a topic for another day. So anyway, they have always continued to grow their portfolio just by making our lives worse. So it was funny to see her actually appeal to the Carlyle Group for help now that they own a bunch of her music. It seems like her sort of following has blasted them enough to have them sort of relent. And it looks like she'll be able to perform her music live on TV. And they're like, oh, we never said she couldn't. Maybe it was a publicity stunt. But it's really important to do your research on the Carlyle Group and stay focused on what they continue to do, because they're really spot on. Actually, as I was researching this, I discovered that they are now buying trailer parks and jacking up the rent.
Yes.
And actually, John Oliver did a segment a few months ago on this, where people are losing their mobile homes that they own, but they have to pay more for the land space.
I'm actually pretty sure this is a major investment by George Soros as well.
I mean,
somebody needs to fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure this is also one of his big
There's
things.
actually a lot of good, at least there were a lot of good tools to research stuff like that. But I also remember them from maybe 2013. I don't know if they're still up. Project PM was a good one. We can go into a whole episode on that and have Barrett Brown call in at some point. They'veRuled.net was another good one, full of flow charts and graphs of who owns what and different heads of companies and what boards they sit on. But in general, that's why I kind of got my headline boner of the week was AOC, Taylor Swift, and the Carlyle Group.
All right. Shout out Lauren.
Yeah, it wasn't that deep a dive, but I mean, if anyone wants to Google it. Good night, everyone.
All right. Good night. Oh, so we don't have to do the sign off thing.
Renters Radio.
So next week we will be changing the show every week. We think that's the best marketing strategy.
Yeah, we're just gonna change the name every week. You're gonna have to look for us.
This is it. Renters Radio. Signing off.
Yep, we changed everything. Patreon, subscribe, all the things.
Yes.
Like and subscribe, get alerts.
Oh my God, I just almost slipped as a bad organizer. You have to leave with an action item. If you can hear the sound of my voice, you have to give us 5 stars, 3 thumbs, whatever platforms we're on, and you find us, give us the most amount of things, write us a review, subscribe.
Right, and you know what? Hit us up on our new email is rentersradio@gmail.com. Send us your stories, send us your scoops.
We didn't get to get to any stories today.
Yeah, well, we'll be following up on stuff. I have a few things in the works. We're also on Twitter, at Renters Radio, Facebook at Renters Radio. We have a group, Renters Rising Radio. Name change still pending. We have Instagram at Renters Radio. It's all pretty redundant. Subscribe, heart, star, donate to our Patreon, Renters Radio. We're still figuring out that monetization stuff.
I'm totally going to find a way to get you all to give us money.
Capitalist in the streets. Thank you, sir.
Right.
Shout out to Herb.
Yeah, thanks, Herb.
Doing his best through all the technical difficulties today. Man of action, and let's do this again next week.